And let's listen to these words. The Swamiji in this morning's affirmation is on willpower. Willpower, and not the vague abstraction luck, is the secret of true achievement. Willpower, on subtle energy levels, generates what only looks like luck by magnetically attracting to us opportunities. Our will is strengthened by removing from our minds the no-saying tendency, the obstructions of doubt, of laziness, and of fear, yes, even of the fear of success. Willpower is developed by persevering to the conclusion of whatever one attempts. One should start first with little undertakings, then proceed to bigger ones. Infinite willpower comes from harnessing the little human will to God's infinite, all-powerful consciousness. And please affirm with me. My will is to do.
My will is to do
That which is right to do.
that which is right to do.
Part all you mountains.
Part all you
That
mountains
stand in my way.
that stand in my way.
Nothing can stop my progress.
Nothing can stop my progress.
My will is to do that which is right to do.
My will is to do that which is right to do.
Part all you mountains.
Part all you
That
mountains
stand in my way.
that stand in my way.
Nothing can stop my progress.
Nothing can stop my
And
progress.
more quietly, my will is to do that which is right to do.
My will is to do that which is right to do.
Part all you mountains
Part all you
that
mountains
stand in my way.
that stand in my way.
Nothing can stop my progress.
Nothing can stop my
And
progress.
now in a whisper, my will is to do that which is right to do.
My will is to do that which is right to do.
Part all you mountains
Part all ye
that
mountains
stand in my way.
that stand in my way.
Nothing can stop my progress.
Nothing can stop my progress.
Now silently, my will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. And pray silently with me. O infinite power, I will use my will, but guide thou my will in everything I do, that it reflect thy will. Om Shanti Shanti.
Well, good morning to everyone and those that are joining us online. This is a reading from Songs of the Soul, poems by Paramahansa Yogananda, entitled, My Soul is Marching On. The shining stars are sunk in darkness deep. The weary sun is dead at night. The moon's soft smile doth fade anon, but still my soul is marching on. The grinding wheel of time hath crushed full many a life of moon and star, and many a brightly smiling morn, but still my soul is marching on. The flowers bloomed, then hid in gloom. The bounty of the trees did cease. Colossal men have come and gone, but still my soul is marching on. The eons one by one are flying. My arrows one by one are gone. Dimly, slowly life is fading, but still my soul is marching on. Darkness, death, and failures vied. To block my path they fiercely tried. My fight with jealous nature strong, but still my soul is marching on. And this is a reading from The Master Said, which was the early title. Now it's Sayings of Yogananda. And this was the first book that was given to me by a friend many years ago. And I can't remember, because I was just in high school, why he would have thought of giving it to me. But all I can think of is that all of my friends, and we were really a band, just ran around, I think, mostly creating mischief, but still, there was a lot of heart quality there, and a lot of sincerity, and many of them were on the spiritual path in their own way. So though I can't remember where I was in my consciousness, there must have been something that spoke to him. It said, why don't you share this book with him? There's a library book. Then I bought this copy, and I was overjoyed. That's an understatement. I knew this was my life calling. When I just looked at Yogananda's picture, that was it for me. Every one of us have different karmas. This was my karma. And then I read this first saying, which really changed my life. Interestingly, I didn't know it at the time because I didn't know that Ananda existed. That came later. But Swami contributed 25% of the sayings in this book. So again, God works in mysterious ways, and there it is. Sir, what should I do to find God? A student asked. The master said, during every little period of leisure, plunge your mind into the infinite thought of him. Talk to him intimately. He is the nearest of the dear, the dearest of the dear. Love him as a miser loves money, as an ardent man loves his sweetheart, as a drowning person loves breath. When you yearn for God with intensity, he will come to you. And this, although a joyous time in my life, was also a real hardship because I was just a kid. And yet I knew this would be my life calling, and I had other things that I wanted to do, and I knew they were going to be put to the side. And there was nothing that I could do about it. So on one level, in a way, I kind of grieved that these things that I had been thinking about for some years instantly were gone. And yet at the same time, I knew that though I didn't feel I was all prepared for it, I had been given my life calling, which was to become a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. One thing that is very, very important, as I was, as we all were in our own ways, pulled out of whatever we were doing. When we somehow, some way, through a friend, through a book, through a revelation, whatever it might have been, knew that this was something that was real. Again, as the yogis say, this is just a dream. We knew that this experience that we had, whatever it might have been, was true. And we didn't have to be convinced of it. We didn't have to do a double check. This was the real thing. This was reality. Perhaps for a time, we put it on the shelf because we needed to wait until we were ripened, where truly we could concentrate, where we would be able to put all of our interests there, fine. But they're still in the background. And we've heard this story many times. My friend gave me the autobiography of a yogi 20 years ago, and then it went on the shelf. But then, when the time was right, I picked it up, and that was it. And so we needn't be concerned about when that time came to us where we felt, now I'm going to put 100% of my energy to the very best of my ability into this endeavor, the true reality, the purpose of life, which we've come to do in this life. And then very, very often, maybe it's a part and parcel of the whole experience, we want to share. And that can be some tapas for us. I remember with my mother and father, especially my mother, when I first got on the path, I had moved to Ananda, and every time I turned around, I'd say, well, Yogananda says this and so. And she was patient. And then the next sentence almost, oh yeah, that reminds me. And finally, she just, please. I just want my son back. I don't know who this guy is. And it's not that she wasn't a spiritual person. It's just that my enthusiasm at that point in time needed to be, how you say, monitored. And to understand that everyone is at a different place. And so it can be a lonely time. And it was for me prior to finding Ananda. It was a lonely time because even my friends it didn't take long for them also to say, that's wonderful and have a good life. And I'm going to the rock concert. Do you want to come? So we have to appreciate that these times that come, and they're available for us every moment, make no mistake of that, when God pulls on us to do the right thing, to dive deep to find our own dharma. Remember, it's not enough to do a good thing. That's a good start. We want to do that thing which will release karma. The dharma releases the karma. And there can be some confusion around that. And people get impatient and will do anything that maybe is a little bit better than what they're doing, but still, where's the freedom? It still eludes them. It's because we have to be very patient and very tenacious and use our willpower, patience especially, to work on that which we're supposed to do. And sometimes it can be a little different than what we expected. I remember one time in the early years, there was this fabulous piano player, and we would ask him to play really difficult pieces, and he would, and they were just, out of this world. And what was my surprise when Swami said, you should take a break from playing the piano. I thought, God, am I ever going to understand what's going on? This seems to be something that he has a gift for, he has a talent for. But Swami understood that he needed, I think he asked him to go work in the garden. There was some need for him to balance out his life. Later, he did come back to the piano, and we were very happy for that. I'm sure he did wonderful work in the garden, but we were missing that. And so very, very often on the spiritual path, there will be things that we consider a bit odd. Why am I feeling to go in this particular direction? Why do I feel to switch my environment? On and on it goes. Well, our intuition at this point, the fruit of growing meditation, is not exactly 100%. We're working on it. Perhaps sometimes it is. But in terms of consistent intuition, that's something we have to earn. And so we have to go slow. That's why slow and steady wins the race. That's what Master said to Swami, because Swami said, outwardly, I wasn't demonstrating. It wasn't coming out of me, this intense enthusiasm that I had inside. He was hiding that, but Master knew. And so to keep Swami from getting, how you say, restless, etc., through this intensity of enthusiasm that was needing some correction, some balance, he said, Walter, as he used to call him, slow and steady wins the race. And so in that way, we don't miss the road signs. And so over time, we begin to appreciate that, yes, we have spiritual family, and we're very grateful for that, truly. But also, we have a spiritual family inside. The portable paradise is within. And so over time, we begin to appreciate, and we were taught early on, spend time with the spiritual eye, spend time in the heart, and so forth. But we begin, we're all scientists, we're all explorers, we're all adventurers, to see if indeed we can begin a deeper relationship with our own soul, specifically with our chakras, that we will find that this is a great shortcut. That's why the yogis say live more in the spine. And in the beginning, it can be a bit of a head scratcher. Live more in the spine. Maybe later I'll discover that. Right now, I think I'll chant and do some seva. Wonderful. Find that which works for you, go for it. But in time, we begin to see that as we, in a natural way, we begin to heed that inner call, spend time in the heart. And as we do, we feel that joy coming out and that love. And then, of course, it's a two-step. You energize the chakra, then you send the energy up to the point between the eyebrows. And we find that all of the chakras, where it's the lower chakras, the higher chakras, although we're taught, obviously, to spend more time in the higher octave of chakras, that each one is waiting for how many incarnations? Waiting for us to knock on the door and say, do you want to come out and play? And what do all of these spinal centers, these chakras have? They have joy. And when that joy grows, we start to find that, my goodness, I knew that there was a solution in every problem. I had no idea that the great, great spiritual weapon that I have is joy. Joy is God and God is joy. And so more and more we rely as a first thing to do, to go inside, no matter what it is. Our relatives are giving us some trouble. Our boss is giving us trouble. All the things that we face on a daily basis, our thoughts. We think, well, rather than getting immersed in all of that, first, let me go inside and ask my buddies, my friends, my chakras, the Kundalini, even spending a little bit of time at the point between the eyebrows. The yogis say the Kundalini sends emissaries up of bliss. So there's a family there. There's a whole family that as we tap into it, we find these guys really know what they're doing. And all these incarnations, and in this lifetime, they've been saying, you know something, I do have a shortcut for you. I mean, it is, you're just not going to believe what a shortcut it is. As Swamiji in the early years, when he was first a monk in the late 40s, early 50s, he said, I couldn't wait to meditate. He was a highly advanced soul. And when he discovered meditation, he couldn't wait to meditate. He said, I would look forward for meditation in the morning, afternoon, evening, whenever he could, as someone can't wait for a party on the weekend. And of course, much more. And bit by bit, the soul loves to meditate. The more we meditate, the more we want to meditate. We want now, because 2024, already it's almost June, halfway mark. Don't we want to give 2024 a gift to 2025? As we have been taught, the way to quicken our spiritual progress is for every meditation to be deeper than the last. And so by extension, the days, the weeks, the months, specifically this year, and 2025 will say, thank you. Thank you for working on anything. Anything. We don't always have to try to reform on the dozen fronts that are needing help. I really should, really help a little bit more with chores around the house, and on it goes. I should be, nicer to my colleagues. Find that one thing intuitively that you feel will really, really spur you on. And then the magic begins to happen. It's all magnetism. That one thing that you've picked intuitively will create this vortex where other things that needed to be reformed, reform life ideally, refashion life ideally. That's Yogananda's words. We'll find that, my goodness, I just picked one thing, but by the end of the year, I kind of worked on half a dozen things. My meditations are deeper. I'm getting more exercise. I'm not eating as much ice cream. I'm, nicer to my friends. On and on it goes. We just pick that one thing that we felt God and the great ones wanted us to focus on, to put our willpower into, to concentrate on, and the magic occurs. And so from that comes this wonderful blessing. Again, oftentimes I think that the whole world, if they could change this attitude, because it's all attitude, the thought being too little, too late. Too little, too late to God. Too little, too late if they believe in God. Too little, too late for the next door neighbor who needed to return the lawnmower a month ago. Too little, too late because I didn't get my raise when I wanted it. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. What kind of an affirmation is that? That's not going to lift the energy. Rather, thank you, God. Count your blessings, skip the rest. Thank you, God. When Swami Kriyananda, after this enormous effort in his 20s, before he discovered Yogananda, and he was suffering greatly. As he said very frankly in his Path, the autobiography of a Western yogi, he said, I was desperate. That's a very strong word. And I think probably, we were probably pretty desperate too, prior to finding that book, that friend to take us inside. He was desperate. And yet, When he found the autobiography of Yogi, he looked at that picture there in that bookstore in New York, and he thought to himself, I've never seen such a beautiful face. But then when he opened the book was dedicated to Luther Burbank, an American saint. He just put the book down. He said, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. America, the land of materialism, this is dedicated to this guy, put the book down. Got the Gita instead, good choice. And that was life-changing for him. But then the next day, a miracle occurred. Walking down the street, again, the thought came. Where did that thought come from? Divine Mother sent that thought. You should buy that book. Oh, no, I'm too intellectual already, he thought. I'm trying to save my money to go down to South America, to be a hermit. I can't be just always spending my money. And so God, knowing that Swami Kriyananda came down into this world, as Yogananda said, to do a great work, to be a disciple. God did some fancy footwork. And Swami had never experienced anything like this. His body was moving toward the bookstore. He was kind of watching his footwork and thinking, what is this? Is there something in that book that I'm meant to read? And then for him, it was 3 days, 3 nights where he said, I scarcely ate, I scarcely slept. Just reading that book from cover to cover, took the next bus to Los Angeles, met Yogananda the next day, and said what she said, I never thought I would say this to anyone. I want to be your disciple. And so for us, more and more, and that's why a disciplined mind's a happy mind, which is to say, to be vigilant, to be aware, to keep our heart open, the basics. Then we find that Divine Mother is really nudging us. The soul is marching on. We're not missing the point. Smriti, memory, when we remember the soul is marching on 24/7. Even in our sleep, that's why Yogananda would go through when the disciples were asleep. He would go through and help them because then there wasn't the resistance when they were, up and around, in their conscious mind, perhaps, and so forth. He would go and he would, do the necessary tweaking and corrections because he didn't sleep. The masters don't sleep. He had the time. He said, don't even try to keep up with me. Those are the disciples that were so keen on seva. You will burn up. He would be serving 19 hours a day. And when he would get his rest, it wasn't the kind of sleep that we experience in the subconscious. He was awake. And so if a disciple came and perhaps he caught his thought when he was taking a little cat nap, he'd say, may I help you? Or something along those lines. And the disciples are always dumbfounded because it appeared perhaps he was even snoring, that he was out. No, he's in God, as all the saints are awake in God. And so there was always that desire to help. As you said, I'll come back 1 trillion times if necessary. That's a large number. We are hearing billions these days. What it is to be a millionaire, that's nothing. That's just getting started, some startup. Being a billionaire, okay? Now that's what you want. Master said, I'll come back 1 trillion times for one. And so for us, going throughout the day, sometimes we wonder, how can I really make God an even deeper companion, and a deeper friend? Well, we know with friendship, you put energy into friendship, maybe it starts with a cup of coffee. That's it. Just somehow, a colleague at work or something, would you like to go out for some coffee? Okay, sure. And then how about a movie? And then, I was thinking of going to Benares. Would you like to come? A lifelong friend is there. Well, so it is with God. We have to be thinking more and more in terms of, and I'm finding this with my own meditation, specifically Kriya. Master said to outwit your karma. So more and more I'm thinking, forget karma. It's gonna go in time, hopefully this lifetime. Rather think of joy. That joy that comes out every time we spend time in the spine. The joy is coming out. The chakras are saying, I'm so glad that you came to visit. Here's a treat, joy. And that joy has that power. How could it not? It's God. That joy has the power to sweep away that karma. And so rather than thinking about, again, the cup is half empty, the cup is half full, the joy becomes a driving force, not the karma. Oh, as Swami used to tease when he would come to India, when he came to India in the early years, so often he would hear the lament, my karma, my karma. I believe perhaps it was Master. And Master said, learn to outwit your karma. Don't be thinking about that. And so for us in the Festival of Light, which Swami originated many years ago, in that festival, he says, now it's time to get rid of the thought of the suffering and exchange it for joy. And so for us, as we become more and more aware, we begin to appreciate the Divine Mother is really, really helping. I mean, she must be some kind of a super Virgo because she is in the detail. And we'll be washing the dishes and she'll say, well, actually, you should do it this way. We've been washing dishes this way for a long time and she comes up with a better method. What is that? Soak the pot. You should do that. You're working too hard. Whatever it might be, we think, my God, if she's into this kind of detail, and she's always wanting throughout our day to give us little tips and ways to move the energy forward. It's just on that level. Imagine her desire to help us spiritually. We can't even begin to fathom her desire to bring us back home. And so the soul is marching on. And so we have to get in step with the march. And that takes growing awareness. The fruit, of course, is growing love. The fruit, of course, is growing joy. And to give that away. Don't just keep it to yourself. We will find our energy bit by bit beginning to get contracted. The joy comes. We work for that joy through meditation, through our seva, and then we give it away generously in whatever form. So, again, thank God often as we can throughout the day for all the things. And a very good practice at the end of the day, even if it's things that we think are insignificant, say, thank you. I appreciate that tip that you gave me in the afternoon. I was getting a little bogged down by working on the computer. And you said, well, this and that and so forth, and then you'll have it. You can get through this labyrinth that you don't understand. The little things, the medium-sized things, and the big things, which is primarily remember God and thank God for his presence in our lives. Okay.